All right, so it's 6:42 p.m., Wednesday, June 21st. I would like to welcome everybody and call to order this regular board meeting of Harmony Public Schools. We have all board members, 6 board members present. We have quorum. Do we have any public comment?
No, sir, no public comment at this time.
All right, so our first action item is approval of minutes. Approval of previous board meeting minutes for May 9th, 2017 meeting. Is there any questions, comments on the previous board meeting minutes? Or we can entertain a motion?
Okay. I make a motion to approve the minutes for our last board meeting on May the 9th.
I second.
All right, everybody in favor of approving previous board meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. They are approved. All right, so our next item is actually closed session. The item is consider student expulsion appeal from Harmony Science Academy San Antonio pursuant to the sections 071 and 551082 of the Texas Government Code. Now we are going to go into the closed session, and a public hearing may be suspended to address the items in closed session in order to receive legal counsel. During closed session, no motions are made and no items that require a vote of the board are voted on. So with that, we ask non-board members or people who are not part of this exposition hearing to leave the room.
I'm going to make a suggestion.
And we're going into closed session.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
could I make a suggestion, since you have 2 items that will require closed session,
Sure.
both grievances, that perhaps you could, before you adjourn to closed session, call both of them, and so you won't have to come back out and just go back in again?
Okay. Okay. You didn't turn it off yet, right? Don't. Okay, then with that suggestion, I would like to call for a closed session for both items. So during our closed session, we are going to discuss both items, right? And then come back to regular session and vote separately.
Right, and you would have the same reasons for closed session under both of those items.
Okay. And the reasons are the Texas Government Code that I mentioned previously. Okay. Now it's 6:46 p.m. We are in closed session. Yes. Turn off. So we are back in a regular session. The board in closed session had a chance to discuss 2 items separately. In the first item,
Sir, the time?
the time is 7:23 p.m. We are back into regular session. And so we discussed the first item, which was, and Homer is trying to find you want to read it from here?
Here.
Oh, here we go.
You got it?
Sure. All right, so in the, so this is going to be right here.
Expression, yeah.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion that we uphold the student expulsion from Harmony Science Academy San Antonio
Okay.
as is.
Anybody seconding? All right, everybody in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
It's approved. Okay, so in closed session, secondly, we talk about the second item, the consider student grievance appeal from Harmony School of Innovation, Sugar Land. Is there any motion?
Yes, I make a motion to deny the grievance appeal from the student from Harmony School of Innovation in Sugar Land.
Is there anybody seconding this motion?
Second.
Everybody in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. The grievance is denied. With that, we will continue to our other action items. 2014-2015 TEA Geographic Boundary Attendance Audit Conclusion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, in 2014-2015, TEA did a review, audit on our geographic boundaries, and as a result of this audit is concluded, and they want us to enter into a corrective action items, corrective active measures, and part of this plan, corrective action plan, based on your approval, board chair and the superintendent needs to sign and agree on these corrective actions. Corrective actions include mostly training our faculties and make sure that we do not enroll students from outside of our geographic boundaries. And if you all remember, in our charter agreement, we can only enroll students that are living and residing within the geographic boundaries that are listed in our charter agreement. And unfortunately, we find out that in some of the districts in Waco, Houston, and some other locations, we have students enroll to our schools far from other locations, other regions. I mean, we try to cover at least 30 miles region in radius in every school. But we find out that there are still students driving long distance to come in our school. So we are going to make sure that these students are not attending our schools. And then we agree with TEA we'll review our policies and procedures correctly and go through a training process. Anything else you want to add, Ms. Baca?
Yes, sir. So we have added those missing ISDs to our approved geographic boundaries list. So now, there's...
So once we added them, there's no problem with those students,
For
right?
future.
For future, but what
Yes.
happens to those students that we had them?
So with those students, we had to tell them that they had to...
Leave?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How many students in total?
17.
So once they are added, we are eligible. The only issue, we're not eligible to receive funding for those students. Like if a student is not living within the boundaries, if they come to us in 2014-2015 year, TA has not made any decision on this, we may not receive funding for those students.
But we already received, so are they going to ask it back?
They're not asking yet.
Yet.
They may.
They may.
They may.
So is this happening because people are in the boundaries when they come in and then they move out of the boundaries, or it's happening because they're falsifying information that they are in the boundaries?
So it could be multiple things. It could be a clerical error where, the registrar entered the address and then did notice that, the ISD was not within our boundaries. Or, the parents could have moved and then, provided proof of residency that didn't, address the difference addressed.
Ms. Morales, this happens at charter schools all over the state. The TEA, every once in a while, does an audit. And when they do that, then these letters go out and decisions go out, and sometimes they will not ask for funds back for at least the last year. Sometimes they'll ask for funds if they're continued for longer than that.
So yeah, on our side, it's not a negligence. It's it's an error. But we do. A new system that we're moving into will prevent those students to come enroll. But falsifying information, still, it's difficult to find out. But we're going to minimize it.
Yeah, so with our new system, we'll have an address locator, and it'll clearly indicate, it'll send notification if the student does not reside within our geographic boundaries.
And we personally ask also Commissioner of Education to see if charter schools are eligible to statewide zoning. And there was some discussion, but we're not sure if we're going to be granted. Meaning that there'll be no zoning. Anywhere in the state of Texas, if a child, comes to a charter school, they should be exempt.
There's
from
precedent for that all over the country. There's other states that are doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any other question, or is there a motion to approve this audit conclusion?
I
and
believe
accept-
this is not an approval. This is just
Oh, it's just information. Okay.
no.
all right.
Actually, this is not approval, but with the board, it's a board approval requires for you to sign this document, sir.
A signature.
Yeah, the board has to accept this and approve it in order to
So
sign
it's
it.
approval.
Yeah.
So we need a motion. Anybody would like to make a motion for this audit conclusion?
I make a motion for 2014-2015 TEA geographic boundary attendance audit conclusion, as discussed in our meeting today.
Anybody seconding?
I second.
All right, everybody in
Okay.
favor of approving this motion, say aye. Aye. It's approved. Thank you, Ms. Baka.
Thank you.
The next item is review and approve the 2017-2018 student handbook changes and updates.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So for this year, we are presenting the 2017-18 student handbook. There's a couple changes. The first change is the application period. This was previously approved at our last board meeting. We're just adding it to the handbook. And then we also made a update to the word illegal knife. This was due to some confusion among the citizen. And so the state House Bill 1935 is deleting the term illegal knife, and then they're putting into place the location restriction knife, which defines the knife as a blade over 5.5 inches.
And in addition, Bob will also confirm that the student handbook, we need your approval for this time, for this meeting. But there's a possibility there is a special session coming up, and we are not sure if there will be school-related items in that. If that happens, we may update our student handbook policy, some of our policies, sometime in August or September, and we'll come back to you again for your approval if there is any amendment or update.
Yes, sir. And we already know that this new session has produced some other laws. We're preparing the templates for Harmony, and we'll provide them to you as soon as we can, so you can do the new update, the additional update, both to this and to your employee handbook as soon as possible.
Yes.
All right. So,
And once we get those updates, we'll send them out as amendments to the handbook to the state.
how do we, this is the student handbook, right? Or was it employment?
Student handbook.
This student. So we always have a proof of the parents receiving it. Do they sign in at the school? How do we know if
Acknowledgement letter? Yeah.
can parents say, I never received it?
So
The-
the school has a tracking log, so
Log,
the
okay.
dean keeps track of what forms that, was received by the student. And then if the form is not received by the student, then the dean of the student will follow up with the parent to get that form in.
And do you follow that from central office here to make sure if it's not, some omitted or somebody is not just checking it?
So the campus is responsible for
Okay.
following up with and then the cluster office follows up.
Cluster office, okay.
Yes.
All right. All right, I think these are really minimal changes. Anybody wants to go ahead and make a motion?
I'll move to approve the 2017-2018 student handbook changes and updates.
Anybody second?
I second that.
All right, everybody in favor of approving these changes to the student handbook, say aye.
Aye.
They are approved.
Thank you.
The next item is review and approve the 2017-2018 employee handbook changes and updates.
No,
There's
sir.
no attachment.
The employee changes, we're asking you to table this employee handbook
Oh, okay.
for the next board meeting.
All right, so we need a motion to table this one out.
Right, Mr. Balaban?
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion that we table agenda item for review and approve the 2017-2018 employee handbook changes and updates until a future meeting.
Yes, sir.
I second that.
All right, everybody in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's tabled out. Okay, thank you. The next item is consider approval of revised Harmony Public Schools Wellness Policy, PG 343.
Yes. Ms. Baka?
Yes, sir. So every year, TDA requires us to adopt a wellness policy, a district wellness policy, so then the campuses can do their local wellness policy. So this year, we're presenting just some minor changes to the local wellness policy. The first change is we'll let the school establish standards in regards to what the food and beverages that they can provide, but they cannot sell.
Say again?
So with the, so each year we create the local wellness policy at the
Okay.
district level.
Okay.
So this year the change is, they cannot sell certain items that doesn't meet the requirements for TDA at the campus level.
Okay.
So they, at the campus level, they'll decide, the district will not decide that.
Okay, okay.
And then there's the other change where the superintendent will establish guidelines on how the wellness committee members are appointed.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or motions?
If there's no questions or comments, I make a motion to approve the revised HPS wellness policy.
Anybody seconding?
I'll go in a second.
Everybody in favor of approving the revised HPS wellness policy, say aye.
Aye.
It's approved.
Thank you.
Ms. Becker. All right, review and approve a board resolution to submit a non-expansion amendment request to the opening date for, to the opening date for the Harmony School of Excellence, Sugarland, under Harmony School of Science, CDN 101862.
Yes, yes, sir. This is, as you know, the Sugarland campus. We plan to open. We postponed it, so we need your approval of resolution, so we can, opening date to next year.
The following, 2018?
Yes,
Okay. What grade level was this going to
this is
be?
a middle school.
Middle, 6 through 8.
Yes,
Okay, so everything else will be will stay the way
Stay
it
the
is?
same. Yes.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Or we just need a motion then?
I'll go ahead and approve the motion for board resolution to submit a non-expansion amendment for the Sugarland under Harmony School of Science, CDN 101-862. That the opening be shifted to next year, same time.
I second that.
All right. Everybody in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the resolution is approved. Thank
Thank you.
you. All right, review and approve a board resolution to submit a non-expansion amendment request to change the district's site address for Harmony School of Science, Houston, CDN 101862, and Harmony Science Academy, CDN 101846.
So, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, this is a non-expansion amendment to, we are changing the district office, South District Office location from this to a new location. So it requires TA, your approval, so TA will change the address. That's it.
Okay.
Even if you change the address, we need to have your resolution.
So this cluster office
South
is
cluster
moving?
office
Where
moving.
are they moving?
Moving from here to a location on 59.
59, okay.
59 and the former
Devrai
University.
University, the one on the 59.
Around
Oh.
59 before Highway 6.
So the full whole building?
No, just
Just-
their
okay.
office, about 5,000 square foot space.
And here, what are we going to do here? Is it
The
school?
lab,
the lab, the innovation lab?
yes.
Oh. The maker space?
Yes, maker space.
All right, so this is just the address change.
So I make a motion to approve a board resolution to submit a non-expansion amendment to change the district's site address for Harmony School of Science, Houston, and Harmony Science Academy.
All right, so everybody in favor of approving this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
It's approved. All right, so we are done with the operation. Now, finance.
Thank you, Ms. Waka.
So, yeah, thank you. So the first item is the consider approval of 2017-2018 fiscal year budgets.
Yes, this is an
Drum.
important topic. There is the budget approval for the next entire school year.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and board members. We are here to present you 2017-18 school year budget. And I have Mr. Joseph Audino here, our budget director, going to help me to present this.
Do you have
this
to show something?
No, sir. I mean, it's already
Hard
have
copy?
it.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the document we will review. I just want to make a small introduction. As our policies, we developed 7 different district budgets, and those budgets are 10 years ago we were doing that in central office and giving each campus budgets, but we believe that locally involved, so each campus, each district, principals, class superintendents, directors, they work since December 2016 for this budget. There was 3 drafts, went back and forward. There is multiple departments involved in central office, including academics, IT, HR, all different departments, as well as rents, properties, bonds, payroll, salaries, etc. They're all included and worked out. Each campus does their budget, they're combining cluster level. Superintendent makes several meetings and they prepare it, send it to budget department. Budget department with its 3 personnel works on it and gets back to them. So there's 3 cycles. It starts in December, ended a few weeks ago. And we presented this budget to Finance Committee and we discussed it during the committee as well in depth. The document that I present to you as the cover page and the next page is system-wide summaries. It compares previous year to this year, and it shows you the differences in each line item. TA requires us to present it to you at function level. So expenses are number 11, 12, 13. At the end, we have a summary of graphs and explanations, which will make more sense. Following pages, page 3, start with Austin District. The top portion, we have the revenues, and the bottom portion has the expenditures per function code. Function codes from instruction, library, curriculum, instructional leadership, school leadership, health services, down to debt service. Each district has, on the bottom, we have the surplus amount. Our goal for this year has 2% surplus. So most of the districts are very close to that surplus. Again, this is the budget, this is not the actuals, this is a planning document. And next district is Dallas-Fort Worth. It has around 1.8% surplus. El Paso is following, has 1.8% surplus. Houston North, 1.8%. Houston South, 1.3%. And Houston West, 1.5%. San Antonio District has 0.8% surpluses currently in their budgets. Again, budget is driven based on our ADA, average daily attendance. So it's strictly 100% related to our enrollment, so enrollment targets. Following page, page 10, just make sure that I'm on the right page. Page 10 provides you a summary of our object code expenditures. Payroll expenditures compared to last year increased about 7%. Contracted services about 5%. Supplies around 4%. Other operating costs around 1.7%. Debt service around 9.4%. And total growth in expenditures was 6.4%.
So just to emphasize this, Dr. Aktalas, this page is really critically important. These are our expenditures based on major object codes.
Correct, sir.
Very critical.
Even though debt service looks like higher increase than last year, it's a technical issue that normally if it's adjusted 6% increase. The technical issue is the capitalized interest that we received for enrichment and Brownsville campuses. We sold the bonds for building those campuses, and we did not pay interest for 1 full year, and their interest kicks in this next fiscal year. So it's $500,000 expenditure, what's supposed to be last year. And so if you take that $500,000 out, it is 6% increase. So our growth overall is 6.2%, so it's aligned with our current expenditure trends. Next slide is the bar graphs. And the left side is, this page is about object code. The left side is showing you 2015, fiscal year 15 to fiscal year 18 next year. Our expenditures in 2015 was a little above 200 million. Now it is close to 300 million. And the bottom bar is the largest portion is our payroll. This bar graphs on the right side, however, shows not the amount, but a percentage of those functional major code expenditures within the budget. So it's like a pie graph. So for example, if you look at the bottom part, payroll was 58.7% in fiscal year 2015. Now it's increased to 65.2% in the next fiscal year.
And it's increasing over the years. It's a nice thing.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
We are investing more to our staff. So payroll is more than a third of our expenditures.
Two-thirds.
Two-thirds, I'm sorry, two-thirds of expenditure.
And that includes the benefits they get?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
So average 65%, 60-65% is normal in school districts, 65%.
Yes. And just to give you information, 11-12 fiscal year, the payroll was 46.7%. So since 2000, last 8 years, we had huge investment in our staff. We moved funds from buildings and other stuff to our people. Next slide shows a similar picture for function level. As you see, our expenditures goes up, and our share on expenditures shown on the right side, percentages. I'd like to say thank you, our finance committee members and our staff in cluster offices and campuses. They work really hard with the template only itself has, how many tabs, sir? 300 Excel tabs were worked on. Account codes are very detailed. Each campus has thousands of account codes, and they work really hard compared to last year, this year. And resource allocation being done in local level is a very great tool, difference of harmony than other school systems that they do have large saying in budget allocations.
Yeah, I must say that preparing budget, for 48 campuses, central office and cluster offices, really it's a cumbersome process. As he mentioned, there are 300 separate sheets in Excel sheet tabs. They combine, they work their employee payroll, benefits, IRS calculations, debt services. I want to thank this guy there.
I'm
Yes.
assuming you all have a budget database, though, that you use to help you do all this?
Yes, ma'am. Everything. This is the Excels are used for communication, and
Right.
we have the software with it uploaded.
And this is a very good presentation of the budget. I mean, with the bar charts and everything. Thank you for that.
I have a question, but I don't know, it might be very simple or it's not important,
We
but
never ask simple questions.
yeah,
sir.
that's
my
coming from a computer scientist, okay? All right, so the instruction, as far as I know, is like mostly payroll. So the last slide, the last page, if you look on the left, the bar chart, the instruction, the first fiscal year 15 and 16 is very similar. For 15 is almost same. For 16 is with the previous page, which is the payroll. So payroll was almost identical with instruction. But for 17 and 18, the instruction is 167 million, but payroll is payroll is higher, like 10 or 12 million dollar each case. Like, did we change a coding or to me so far when I saw instruction, I knew that most of it, this is payroll of teachers. But here, 2015 and 16, the instruction is same, almost same with the previous category, not function, but by object code as payroll. But for 17 and 18, there's a like $10-12 million difference. Is it because we changed codes, or some of the instruction paid are not part of payroll anymore? What's the reason?
First of all, each expense, it is TS guidelines. For example, we spend something, and that's, I know you know that, but I think it's important for the other board members to understand. Any spending we do, it's a 13-digit coding. First 2 codes is the funds, 3 codes is funds. We are talking about general funds here. And function is, as you mentioned, is instruction or leadership or curriculum. So there are different functions. But the same expense is also coded for object code. 61 is payroll. So, for example, when we pay a teacher in a campus, we say, since teacher is instructional staff, we code this on instruction, and it's a payroll. Meanwhile, we buy instructional supplies. So it is instruction, but supplies. So it's 63, code 63XX, 63 something. So, well, it's a coincidence that our payroll expenses are a little less than or aligned with our instructional, but it is just coincidence because instruction is about 56% and payroll is about 65% of our total expenditures. So, I'm sorry, 63%, 61% and 65%. So that's why they are following up similar, but they are not related. We pay payroll from curriculum. For example, coaches are paid from curriculum, or we pay payroll from
Federal grants.
federal grants, or payroll from not debt service, but school leadership, or admin cost, or student services. There's payrolls coming from those services as well. So function code is a different way of classifying the same, so to say, animal, and object code is a different way to look at it. To identify.
I was just wondering the yearly change, was it because of some, so you are saying it's a coincidence that it's, for those 2 years, it's very similar.
Similar.
It's
Yes,
just a coincidence.
yes, sir. For example, 187 is the payroll for next year, and 175 for instruction for next year. This year, current year, 175 was payroll, and instruction was 167. So they're like 8 million, 10 million lower
And the
than-
difference mostly will be because those payroll, those difference coming from some other code, like from federal grant or the things that you said.
That could be,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So, just a follow-up question to that then. Between the years from 15, 16 to 17 and projected for 18, have we created a significant number of new codes, or are they pretty much the same codes?
It's pretty much same, 90%, but as needed, there are some codes always created. Again, all the codes are listed on what's that called FASRAC guideline. That's 300 pages document. So if we are going to use a code we never used before, we use it or we review it. If there's a code we didn't use last 2 years, we take it out from chart of accounts. There's chart of accounts.
Okay, all right, very good.
Is this budget includes the Race to Top? Do we have any funding left for the Race to Top that is reflected in this budget?
Race to Top is going to be completed this year.
This is the last year?
Last year.
Okay.
This budget doesn't include any Race to Top. This, what we bring to you, by the way, I forgot to mention, by Texas code, board has to approve state-funded 420 general fund budget. So this only includes general fund. Doesn't
Not the
include-
federal grants.
Not the
Oh,
federal
okay.
grants.
Not TIF grant, not other.
If it's not included, okay.
Federal grants are negotiated
That was
by
going to be
TA
my
level.
next question. Okay, all right. Okay, any other question? And again, I reiterate what the board member said, very good presentation, I mean, very helpful. It's much easier to understand. Thank you. Well, do we have any other questions, comments, or we can have a motion?
Dr. Alp Yıldız, thank you very much for answering the questions and my questions last week around this time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion for approval of 2017-18 fiscal year budget.
Anybody second?
Second.
All right, everybody in favor of approving 2017-2018 fiscal year budget, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. The next item is also a finance item. Consider approval and ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the Finance Committee held on June 14, 2017.
Yes, sir. We have the Finance Committee met on June 14 at 5:15 with Dr. Koch and Purchasing Director Mr. Bayer and Dr. Bayer and myself. And there is a few items I'd like to summarize that to you. There was 2 awards. One was 1.2 million. The other one was $150,000 for both janitorial contracts. We changed the company because the district didn't like the performance of the previous company. So those bids were awarded, vendor pools created. And then next item was approval of contracts above 250,000. There was 3 contracts. They were awarded previously, and they were purchasing department worked and brought those contracts in a signature contract format, those awards. So one was the furniture. It's about $3 million furniture purchases that we're going to do this year. Electronic equipment was about $3.5 million. And child nutrition software system procurement contract was $100,000. So new software for child nutrition systems that the operation department works. And the last item was, last major item was extension of contracts. There was a few recently awarded TIF grant contracts. As you know, TIF grant started earlier this fiscal year. We ran that for a few months, and fiscal year ended, so we extend those contracts. There was 4 of them, 2 million, and one of them was on demand, and there was $500,000, another one was on demand. We extend those contracts with the same terms and limitations. Also, committee reviewed the budget that you just approved in depth, and we have convened closed session, discussed negotiations with our current facilities, lands and real property, and meeting ended at 6 p.m. I guess. 6 p.m. Minutes are presented to you. Dr. Koch signed those minutes.
Is there any questions, comments, or we can entertain motions?
So I think I'm going to make the motion. So I would like to make a motion for approval and ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the Finance Committee meeting held on June 14.
I second.
All right, everybody in favor of approving the presented Finance Committee minutes and actions that was held on June 14, 2017? Say aye.
Aye.
All right, it's approved. Aye. Sorry, it's approved. Okay, Dr. Akilus, actually it's approved.
Thank you.
So thank you. You have something else?
Facilities.
Facilities. Oh, you're going to do the facilities?
Mr. Kuse is
Oh,
not
Mr.
here,
Kuse
so-
is not here. Okay. So our next item is consider approval and ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the Facilities and Constructions Committee meeting held on June 14, 2017.
I'm subbing for Dr. Kuse. He's off this week in
Okay.
Florida in storm right now, so I told him.
I thought construction is never off in Harmony.
Well, he's on the phone. He was driving on the storm and having conference call with the GC, and I was worried about him.
Okay.
I was in the meeting as a member of the committee, and Mr. Stewart chaired the meeting. We had 2 awards. One was Laredo Modular Buildings for $220,000. And the other one was a JAC order code for conversion of a storage facility in Dallas-Fort Worth to robotics classroom. So it was about 76,000. And there was change orders for Cedar Park project in Austin area. The project amount was 3.3 million. There was 4 small change orders totaling about $160,000, which is less than 5% of the project amount approved during the committee. So that was all the items, and committee dismissed after the meeting.
Thank you. Is there any questions, comments? Sure.
So I want to take the time to publicly commend Dr. Kasem, Mr. Akieldes, Alejandro, Hans. Yeah? Yeah, he was there. Yeah, I said Dr. Akieldes. Yeah.
You said Mr.
No, oh, I did? I apologize.
Oh, thank you,
Right?
sir.
And so for Alejandro Hans, one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy, well, the facilities committee, and this is not a knock on any of the other committees, but when I actually do get there, all the information has been painstakingly prepared and ready and good to go. And they tend to anticipate the questions that I'm going to hit them with. And so I really appreciate that. But it was also good to see the database that you guys have came up with in terms of a list of approved or pre-approved contractors that you can actually do the small contracts with, and that you guys actually took the time to really vet them properly and then brought that to the table so we could actually see it in action. So, you know, there are commendations all the way around, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
So,
All right, so with that, would you like to make? You made it?
I'll make it. All right, so I'll go ahead and make a motion that we accept the facilities construction committee minutes as submitted for Wednesday, June the 14th, conducted from 6:30 p.m. in the Austin meeting room.
Anybody seconding this
I
motion?
second.
All right, seconded. So everybody in favor of approving and approval and ratification of the minutes and actions of the Facilities and Construction Committee held on June 14, 2017, say aye.
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 Thank you.
It's approved. Thank you, Dr. Akieldes. Okay, now it's the academic committee. So we have our item is consider approval and ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the academic committee held on May 12, 2017.
Good evening, board members. The academic committee met on Friday, May 12, 2017 for mostly the approval of the district and campus improvement plans for our 7 districts. The 7 district area superintendents and directors of academics came and presented their plans, and the committee approved the plans for Harmony Science Academy Waco, Harmony Science Academy El Paso, Harmony Science Academy San Antonio, Harmony Science Academy Austin, Harmony School of Excellence, Harmony School of Science, and Harmony Science Academy, those 7 districts. In the presentations, there was one slide that was very important, the comprehensive needs assessment and summary of priority needs. So we have gathered and summarized the most commonly repeated needs and priorities for our campuses. So these include increase student retention, address homeless and migrant students' needs, decrease student-teacher ratio, interventionists, tutors, special ed and ESL teachers, inform students about career opportunities, trainings and workshops, providing extracurricular activities, provide professional development, mentor teachers, coaches to guide teachers, purchasing instructional materials, differentiating curriculum, revising parental involvement policy, creating extended learning time, creating motivational activities, and educational software and hardware. And I can email this to you This is a summary of all those comprehensive needs assessments and priority needs for all of our districts, the common ones. And then the committee approved the high school handbook for 2017-18. There were only a few minor changes. And then the committee approved the 2017 LOTE, Languages Other Than English Textbook Adoption. Ms. Malloy, Mr. Alfaro, Ms. Ekran presented the newly selected textbooks for foreign languages, and the committee approved them as well. That was the summary of the meeting.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Özer. Is there any comment, questions?
Excuse me, I'd like to comment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
As I listen to the list that you just read, it sounds similar to lists that we've heard other times. But I want to assure the board that each of these is getting the attention of the districts. I was impressed with the amount of time and effort that went into to really analyze what their needs are and the creativity that some of the districts presented in how they're going to approach these problems. They're not satisfied if changes haven't been made, but they're looking to see, we still have this problem. What other approach can we take? And I value all that.
Thank you.
So you did say you were going to email us the list
Yes,
that
I
you
can.
summarized?
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing too is I wanted to, there was the Chronicle posted in April the ranking of all the schools in Houston and 8 surrounding counties, and some of the Harmony campuses were on there. Not as many probably as we would like, but some of them were in there. So my request is if I can get a copy, or we can get a copy of all the Harmony schools and the ranking, so that we can see, I assume you're color coding them for us to see the ones that are at the top and the ones that are maybe at risk. So I have
Children's
a,
at-risk ranking, correct?
yeah.
Yes, I can.
So I can have a snapshot look, so I know, because it's very hard for me to go individually into each school and try to get the ranking and figure it out on my own.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
I think the report is available someplace.
Yes, we have those for Houston. I can get them.
Well, I would like it for the whole state of
Yeah,
Texas.
and I know there's for Austin.
Even though Houston's my priority,
Yeah. Sure, I will definitely
I do want to
get them
consider
for you.
all of Houston, all of Texas. Thank you.
Is this presenting CIP, DIP improvement plans to the board, this is TA requirement, right? Is it? Or is it something that we do?
TA requires the board to approve them,
Approve them?
but the presentation has been maybe our innovation,
Okay.
so that if you have questions and
Ye-
concerns, they could be addressed there.
I mean, the reason I'm asking is listening the districts, like Ellen said, the great things they are doing, also the challenges. Some of them had, in the star ratings, big jumps. Some of them were struggling. So I'm just, I want the other board members to know about that too. I mean, I don't know if in the future we can consider next year to do it to the full board instead of academic committee, or find a way to create a summary for everybody else. So it's like in 2 hours, take a snapshot of all the results of the last year, a year before, not this current year. So, I mean, I was very happy to sit through it and ask my questions, but, probably, the other board members would want to, because it's directly what we are doing, like about the academic results and everything else. So, I don't know, maybe we'll discuss this, maybe during the retreat we'll discuss this, like how can we make sure that this is not only the committee members get to hear from, and because often we don't see or meet cluster superintendents, right, this board.
Mm-hmm.
But for that day, all the cluster superintendents are there, all their academic people are there. Personally, the cluster superintendents, they do the presentation. So it's a good, I think it will be good for full board to interact with the cluster superintendents as well. So
I think it's the best kept secret in some of the things that you are doing. And so the reason as a new board member, I'm asking for this data or information is it helps me to support the mission and speak about the good things about Harmony instead of, the little that I can look up on my own, which is not fair to the organization. And so
Of course.
I would like to have that for that reason.
Okay,
Definitely.
perfect. All right, so with that, do we have a motion?
ratify the minutes of the and actions of the academic committee meeting held on May 12th, 2017.
I second.
Okay, everybody in favor of approving this motion, say aye. Aye. It's approved. Thank you, Dr. Ozer. Okay, so our next item is, I guess this is the governance committee updates.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as you all know and aware, our governance committee, has met twice in the past. Actually, that's not what I'm going to talk about right now, but so that's our next item.
Not this?
Not this one, not this one.
I was going to say, it doesn't look like a,
Yeah. So, as you all know, we formed governance committee, by your charge, and we have 4 members, Mr. Chairman, myself, Bob, and Marcy are the members of the governance committee. And we met twice in the past. One was in May 9. It's the same day we met our last board meeting, and also we met on May 30th. And we had an ad hoc, some small committee meeting in DC with Dr. Chalapchikai, myself, and Marcy. Yes, sir. Sure. All right. So we collectively, report maybe what we discuss. So far, just help me, Mr. Chalapchikai and Bob, what we have. Oh, I forgot Osman. Osman is also a member. So in May 9th meeting, we have discussed improvement of the board meeting preparation process and how we can improve our strategies and sufficiency of regular board meetings. Also, our committee discussed possibility of meeting more than once a month. So that's why we met almost 3 times now. And hopefully we're going to continue improve and meet more to streamline our process. In the next meeting, on May 30th, we talked about a little bit consent agenda items, and because we have utilized that process in the past, and also we decided that in order for board members to really focus on strategic plan and improvement, we talked about our business plan. That's why I'm prepared to basically give you a presentation on the next item, summary of our business plan. And anything else, Dr. Chalapchikai? I know I just summarized quickly because knowing that I respect the people's, I know there's one storm that's coming up. Also, some of the people are fasting, so I want to make sure I go faster.
Yeah, this is good. More details will be followed too. So we have been meeting, talking. So hopefully, maybe during the retreat, also we'll have more to update and discuss. So many things we discussed, so we'll update more.
So board retreat was another.
The emphasis the first night when we talked about it, at least for Marcy, was that one of the first things we had to have was a mission of the governance committee, and that was going to be the first thing you were going to do and come back to us to adopt that.
Yes, actually, this is Ellen. I told I sent an email regarding the first meeting. We discussed 2 minutes, and then I realized our promise to board was, this is not fully functioning governance committee. We just put a temporary, and I think she said phase 1, like initial 90 days, and the first product was going to be, like you said, the mission statement of governance. So initially we started with more detailed things, but we went back to that. So I sent an email in all these people reminding that this was our promise to the board members. This is, let's keep going back to what this first initial group was going to do, the mission statement of the governance, how the governance committee is going to function, and then come back, because there were at least 2 board members interested in participating. So come back to this. Probably we will do it in retreat. We'll say, okay, this is the plan. So far we talk about this governance committee will have this mission. We'll discuss this. This is how, it's going to happen. And then we need 3 more board members, or 2 more board members who wants to join. And maybe we will even shuffle around the other committees, like, because we have been doing, similar things. Maybe Daisy is not part of any committee yet, so we'll talk about this. But I think that was missing. You're right.
I understand that was my expectation.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
the agreement.
That was the agreement, yes.
To have these 4 people start.
Yeah.
To me, it's almost an example of why we need a governance committee, because already it sounds like this committee has branched on to cover other topics and things.
That's
moved
true.
away from the mission and what they had agreed on, and I'd like us to get back on track. That's an interesting, back on track.
Alan.
Speak to the mic.
Okay, so do you want her to repeat it, or I think? For the record.
Oh,
Can you repeat what you said the last part about?
My understanding was that this initial governance committee was established for the purpose of creating a mission statement of what the governance committee is about, and then bring that back to us with recommendations and for adding additional members to that committee. And what I'm hearing is that we did not get that back. There have been 3 meetings. We have not been given a mission statement or a draft. And already the committee is considering other topics. And I think that's why we need a governance committee, because that's kind of the way we've been doing business. People pick up and move ahead on some topic. I'd like us to get really on track with what this governance committee is supposed to be doing and what we can expect from it.
I agree, and I sent an email. I think Osman will recall, Bob will recall, email stating that. I think, and I said, we have 3 other committees. Each one of them has at least 2 or 3 board members. This one has only 1. So for that to be a board committee, we need to have more board members. And then I think we're going to revisit that. I don't think we have, do we have another meeting before the retreat?
In July.
No, but I think we should definitely schedule one. But the question is not the ability to run this board, not because we have more or less board members. I think because maybe that we didn't focus on certain, we didn't have really certain agenda items to focus on these specific items. Because almost 5 of us are able, that we didn't discuss this, because we had so many other things to iron out initially.
I feel like maybe I should say something,
Yeah.
so I will.
Can I just say something before you start? I think what Alan is referring, if I'm not mistaken, like when we had a little bit deadlock here, gridlock, that we couldn't decide who's going to be, and Marcy made the suggestion, let's do this phase 1. We'll start the ball rolling, and then we'll come back to you, and then with a plan, a mission statement, and a plan, and how many board members, or what kind of structure, so on and so forth. So the initial job description of that committee is to find a mission, to define mission and working procedures of the committee itself. But of course, if you put board chair, CEO, and attorney in the same room, they will discuss many things. Go ahead.
My recollection of I could be wrong, because my memory is not perfect, but my recollection of the direction that the committee was given in both of the initial meeting of the committee was that the committee was formulated as a result of a recommendation from the facilitator for the board. Marcy was suggesting that we form that committee. And at the committee meeting, I think that those of us that were there as ex officio members, because that's what we really are right now, I am anyhow, just an ex officio member, I'm not a board member. But there was a discussion of the role of the board committee, of the governance committee. In fact, that was really the focus of the discussion of the first meeting, although the minutes don't actually do it under a title. That's where we were heading. And that's where we were heading with the second, too, the second meeting also. It turns out that coming up with a mission statement isn't quite as easy as one might have thought, because there are issues that need to be incorporated in the committee's work. Two of the issues that we did come up with regard to mission would be determining the composition of the board and the structure of the board in terms of longevity of board members, adding to the board, as you remember, the number of people on the board. But we decided also that there were some things that needed to have some current attention, and they included one of the presentations that you're going to hear tonight, and that's on strategic planning. Because what the committee decided is that one of the things that the committee needed to focus on was providing a direction to the board for its mission, because that's really what governance is about. Its mission is driven by planning, and the board's planning is the strategy that you'll hear a bit about this evening. The other thing that we talked about is the necessity of having a retreat so that we could get down to all these things with full board participation in this, and not just at a meeting where we had 24 other items, but a meeting where we could just focus on what the board is, who the board is, what the board shall do, what administration shall do, and the various roles. So although we may not have titled it exactly as you're suggesting we should have, and I agree, we probably should have done that. We did do that work, we just haven't completed it. There were two meetings. There was an informal gathering up in DC at the workshop that was going on up there. That wasn't a real meeting. There needs to be another meeting, because you do have a board retreat that has been talked about, but the board has not really gotten the full information on that and approved of it and had an opportunity to weigh in and act about it. And it should. And the next meeting of this committee, I think, will be a meeting in which those plans are laid out, perhaps also with the mission statement that you're suggesting, Ellen, so that...
That wasn't my suggestion, that came from Marcia. That was, she was very clear that was the very first thing that a governance...
That's one I wanted to say in defense of the committee. We were led by Marcy in both of those meetings, and we kind of let her take I did anyhow, I think all of us did, kind of let her take the lead and push us in the direction she thought the committee should be going. So we'll give her that feedback and remind her of what she had said. And also, we do need another committee meeting in July, and then the board needs to consider this as an item on the agenda in July.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
Good. Thank you.
Is this the same presentation?
It's the same, yeah, same presentation,
So
but
this
that
is
item
a-
is over here.
Is this an action item? It's just update.
Just update,
We are
yes.
not updating.
The update was regarding governance.
Okay, so if there's no another question, we can move to the CEO report.
Yes, so members of the board, and we have two attachments. One is in your file already, that is the copy of our this month communication and outreach report, but I'm not going to go over that because the time frame limit that we have, but rather I'm going to spend some time on our strategic plan, knowing that this is late in the day and I have 21 slides. I'm going to kind of sail through this quickly. And then you have a copy of this, and we'll email you a copy. I will put this in board package. Osman will do that. And then if you have any question, you can individually send me an email, or I'm happy to answer any question. And you know that in our board retreat, we're going to, kind of dissect each one of those strategic plans and items and goals and objectives. And then, so we'll have more time to discuss this. And the next board meeting, I will ask Mr. Yüksel, since he is in charge of implementing this business plan, he will talk about 47 different initiatives that we started. So I'm just going to, just touch the basic items so I don't have to bore you. I always start with our mission. Anytime I talk about, Harmony System, we talk about what is Harmony mission. It's to prepare students for higher education to provide safe, caring environment. And I'm going to skip some, again because of the time constraints. So in our, so some of you, of course, may be new, but I'll give you some background information. We can actually divide this organization growth into three categories. One is the incubation phase, which is between year 2000 2005. The second is our growth years, which we had tremendous growth between 2005 and 12. And then when we did our business plan for the phase 3, which I called it as a maturity, somewhat like teenage/maturity years for this organization. And we have came up with 5 strategic plan, 5 goals, and the mission, the whole idea was the leading together. And we're going to continue to expand as part of this phase 3. These are current locations statewide. Currently, we have 48 in Texas, 1 in DC. In terms of our structure, we have 1 central office, 6 different clusters, and 2 in Houston, 1 in Austin, 1 Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, and El Paso, and that combines 48 campuses. So to give you some idea, we spent about 6 months or so to put together this strategic plan. Initially, we had a steering committee consist of basically people from schools, clusters, central office, and a board. Mr. Chalapchikai was your board representative from the board. And there were extensive analysis, surveys before we have done this. And then we came up with 5 goals, strategic initiatives, growth plans, and core values. And we identified 5 goals for Harmony 2020 plan. First one is to maximize academic achievement for every child. That was number 1 goal for everybody. The second one is to recruit, develop, and retain talented workforce. So goal number 1 and goal number 2 really goes hands in hand. And you cannot really separate them to have effective schools. And I'll tell you briefly. Goal number 3 is improve operational effectiveness and efficiency. And goal number 4 was strengthen financial stewardship at all levels, whether it's school, cluster, and central office. And finally is to create build a public support. And just to give you a quick idea, I just mentioned goal number 1 and number 2. To create successful students, we have to have successful people and quality of work. And that will lead us to successful students. And if you look at our professional development, teaching, and evaluation, they are like working together really in combination of it's like a clock work. Without really having quality teachers, quality evaluation systems, feedbacks, and professional development, we cannot reach these goals. And of course, in order to accomplish this goal student achievement, we have to recruit best teachers, retain them, and then you have seen and we share with you our retention in numbers. It's improving every year as we improve and increase salaries. And we grow our administrators, we improve our quality of professional development, evaluation system, awarding and rehiring process. Goal number 3 is improve operational effectiveness. And to do this, really, we try to optimize cluster structure. We have increased cluster size and the cluster, office, employee numbers. And then central office, we kept at the central office at a lower steady increase level. And also, we are strengthening our, goal-oriented accountability, system in our organization. Goal number 4 is strengthening financial stewardship. So far, over the course of 17 years, and moving forward, we always, receive the highest first rating, financial rating from the state, and we hope to continue to do so. Number 5 is to build public support. Am I speaking too fast? And you know, in the past, over the course of 6-7 years, we have accused you know, by detractors so many different levels. Some of them because, you know, being, you know, like growing so fast and drove a lot of criticism, unwarranted criticism. And some of those really came from outrageous, you know, folks and harassment sometimes from governments, foreign governments, I should say. And to get rid of this, we have been meeting as part of our strategic plan number 5, meeting with all state stakeholders. That includes TA officials, legislators, policymakers, and we're going to continue to inform our parents and community members about you know, this public support. And let's move on to each one of those goals. Remember, goal number 1 was academic issues, and we have each of these goals have multiple strategies and initiatives. And these are the list of the initiatives for under academics. This is under you know, HR. This is under basically operation department. And then we continue to have again multiple initiatives. Some of them are already completed, some of them are in the process, some of them we have not started yet. Again, we're going to discuss every one of these items, hopefully in our board retreat. And each department, each committee will have maybe a task to follow up this so that you will be more informed. And when we have board meetings, you will have really equipped with lots of questions, and hopefully we'll you know, receive answers. And finally, for communication and my you know, office deals with you know, creating a public support. So these are the initiatives that we developed, 46. And then during this you know, strategic plan development, we come up with 5 basically core values. High expectation is one of them, dedication, working together, character matters, and stand for all. These are our core values of our organization. And I've been talking to this and really preaching this to every one of our teachers, employees, administrators, every year, every time. And you know, we're informing you know, folks. Again, as part of our, you know, when people ask us what is next, hopefully, you know, phase number 4 after 2020, we'll have more things to come. But in terms of, as part of this strategic plan, we decided to fundraise about $24 million to help, you know, basically offset some of our construction costs, or possibly get some funding for our instructional, you know, programs. And we, you know, started pre-K program, and hopefully in the future we may have early childhood education centers. And we also wanted to do, you know, a playbook, so to speak, so, you know, for expansion, for anything. It will be ready for, you know, in the hands of our principals, our teachers, that they will have, you know, standardization, you know, study playbook. And also, you all know that we're going to continue to expand, whether in Texas, nationally or internationally, you know, expand our STEM programs, because we get a lot of demands and requests, and this could be maybe a little bit slow. So, and I want to thank for all of the people who spend countless hours from each department to make this, you know, plan happen. And so this is the fastest version I've ever given to people. I apologize for talking fast. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer for now or in the future. And I will provide the copy of this to all of you.
Presentation
Yes, sir.
of the copy of.
Yes, in electronic form, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Terim. I mean,
problem.
this was even one of the fruits of the governance committee meetings, that we should revisit our, you know, we spend a lot of time, you know, staff and everybody else spend a lot of time on this, and we worked with a really good group, Bellwether, who have helped us with everything else. So I think it's a good starting point to revisit, and it will make, you know, easier to plan forward during our, you know, retreat. So thank you for the presentation. With that, I think this was also an information item. We need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Just the only motion was made by two people is the adjourning. All right, so I think Daisy made the motion and Homer seconded. So everybody in favor of adjourning meeting, say aye. Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Drive safe.